Great, we're live. So welcome again to our session with Amelia and Kevin here from Immutable. And today you're going to learn how to build the future of games with Amelia and Kevin. I'll let you take the stage.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone. We are super happy that you're joining us for the hackathon, which we've titled Building the Future of Games with Immutable X. We've got a little bit to get through today, so let's jump right in. But before we start, we'll do some quick introductions. So Kev, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure thing. Hi, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you are, and happy International Women's Day for anybody who has crossed over into Tuesday already. My name is Kevin McHugh, as the slide says. I'm the Director of Engineering for the Immutable X engineering team here at Immutable. I'm not sure when I should stop claiming this, but I'm reasonably new to the business here at Immutable. I came on board almost 5 months ago at this point. I came across from another fast-growing tech scale-up here in Sydney, and very much looking forward to and enjoying everything that we're doing here at Immutable.
Thanks, Kev. Yeah, 5 months doesn't seem seems pretty old hat these days. I've been at Immutable for 10 months and it feels like quite a while in the best possible way. So I'm Millie Brown. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager here at Immutable, mostly focused on our self-serve customers, so our small to medium customers, the DGen audience. And I joined Immutable after being a management consultant for 5 years, originally to do strategy and operations, but I found that I really loved working with founders and developers. So I moved over into our customer success team, and it's been a fantastic time, and I'm really excited to do this hackathon event and continue to do more of these events in the future. So for the agenda, we're going to do an introduction to Immutable X. Kev's going to run you through a little bit about our technology and what makes us different and so special compared to other technologies out there. I'm going to look briefly at one of the existing game integrations with Immutable X to give you some ideas about what is possible with Immutable X NFTs. I'm going to go into the hackathon and what we want you to do and what we're looking for, and then finally give you some resources for when you're building your project. We've agreed that if there are any questions that come up through the during the workshop, please drop them in the chat and Kevin will pick them up as we go along. All right, let's get into it. Kev.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here with us here today. And yeah, like Millie said, at any point, if anyone had a question, just jump right on and interrupt me. We'll answer questions as we go. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the platform itself, Immutable X, what it's about, why we think it's awesome, and a little bit about the history and how we got to where we are today. At Immutable, we're developing the leading Web3 ecosystem for next generation creators. And today that's really focused on the gaming cohort. We are and have by way of Immutable X, a next generation NFT trading and Ethereum scaling platform, which is targeting or built for developers. I'm sure people on the call know a little bit about the scalability limitations of Ethereum. Globally today, Ethereum itself, the mainnet, is capable of processing something in the region of 15 transactions per second globally. 15 transactions per second, that's it. And obviously this is completely insufficient for high volume gaming applications in a world where we want to trade hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of in-game assets really quickly and effectively inside of a game experience. Those 15 transactions per second are just not going to cut it. Because the demand globally far exceeds 15 transactions per second on the Ethereum network, well, that means that gas costs are really, really high, anywhere from hundreds of dollars from at times even into the thousands of dollars for individual transactions. And obviously that, again, just doesn't make sense for high volume, high frequency gaming applications. Immutable X is our solution to this problem. And what we've built is a layer 2 solution, which allows us to work around or get around or supplement, I guess, if you could think of it that way, the scalability challenges that are inherent in the Ethereum ecosystem. The technology itself is referred to as a zero knowledge rollup operating in layer 2. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Essentially, what we're able to do with Immutable X is take thousands or even tens of thousands of individual transactions and create a batch. So many transactions go into a batch, and off-chain, excuse me, in layer 2, we produce what's referred to as a cryptographic proof, or a mathematical proof that that batch of transactions is valid, it's correct, and verifiably correct. And it's that cryptographic proof, known as the zero knowledge Stark, that gets published back onto the main chain, which then ensures that that batch of transactions is verifiably true and is published for availability on the main chain. We are the first application of its kind in this space. We have been learning as we go, and certainly it's been a really interesting ride for all of us here at Immutable in implementing this technology and learning as we've gone through the interesting experiments that we've run over the last number of years. You probably know that Vitalik himself has come out and said that the Ethereum ecosystem is likely to be all in on rollups as a scaling strategy for the near and mid-term future of Ethereum. There will be some changes to Ethereum and improvements as we go, and what's colloquially now referred to as the Ethereum 2.0 release that will improve the situation, and things will change, but not to the extent that we are currently capable of doing and of producing and providing with our layer 2 solution. Amelia, next slide. I mentioned that we're a platform for developers. We build for developers. If you build for developers, you need to make sure that you've got a best-in-class experience for those developers. The developer experience needs to be seamless, it needs to be frictionless, and the product needs to be a joy to use. A lot of what we do is about abstracting away some of the complexities of the blockchain, the smart contracts, development of smart contracts, and interoperating with smart contracts. A lot of what we do, and a lot of what makes Immutable X, the platform itself, so easy to use, is that we actually remove a lot of that complexity, or hide a lot of that complexity via the provision of REST APIs. And REST APIs will be very familiar, I would imagine, to anybody on the call who has been a developer or works in or around software development. And really the idea there is to provide the capability to interact with the blockchain, interact with our product in a way that's really familiar, really similar, and seamless and frictionless as it possibly can be. So the developer experience always has and always will be front and foremost for Immutable X. Next slide, Millie. I'm sure the people on the call are familiar with the big, well-known broad aggregators, the OpenSeas, the Lux, Rares of the world. They've obviously been very successful in what they do. But a big challenge here is that they have, I guess, in a sense, created what we think of as walled gardens. And what that means is that if you go to OpenSea, the assets that you see on OpenSea are only interactable with on OpenSea. If you list an asset there, it can only be traded there. If you list it on LuxRare, it can only be traded there. And this obviously has a huge negative impact on liquidity for NFTs that a project, a person, an individual, or a company would like to make available and would like to see traded. So you can see from the diagram here what this looks like. We've tried to represent this as essentially each one of these verticals here being what we think of as a walled garden. Each of these marketplaces can only have bought, sold, and traded assets that have been created and are listed in that marketplace. And obviously that results in a substantial drop in overall liquidity for your NFTs and for your projects. Next slide. Our solution, we have what we refer to as a globally shared protocol level order book for Immutable X. And I mentioned that Immutable X is a developer platform, a developer product. And what that means is that we have many integrators building their own marketplaces. We want to encourage as many marketplace builds on top of Immutable X. Some of those marketplaces will serve particular niches. Some will serve specifically gaming. Some will serve even smaller, more nuanced niches inside of that gaming cohort. We have our own marketplace, the Immutable X marketplace. But the beauty about this solution, the global protocol level order book, is that assets that are listed anywhere on the protocol, on any marketplace, can be interacted with and traded on any of the other marketplaces that have been built on top of the protocol. So this obviously is a big boon for liquidity in the space. If your assets can be found, searched, bought, traded anywhere on the protocol in any marketplace that is available or will be available in the future, you can imagine the reach that then results in. Yeah, next slide, please, Millie. I talked about the developer experience, and obviously, aside to that is the individual user experience. We're building products for developers, but those developers are then building products for their end users to use. And it is really important, again, that that experience is frictionless. One thing I hadn't spoken about so far is the fact that there is instant transaction confirmation, and we'll talk a little bit about this later on as a competitive advantage for Immutable X and how we see that as being a really important facet of the product that we've built. But really, the most important piece about this slide is the products that are built on top of Immutable X by any integrator. Really, the focus here is on a seamless, frictionless user experience that just makes it easy and a joy to use. This slide just tells you a little bit about how we see ourselves and how we see the competitive space. I talked about scalability and the fact that we are capable of processing many thousands of transactions, many thousands more transactions rather per second than is capable on Ethereum mainnet. Specifically, we're capable of processing 90,000 transactions per second using our layer 2 zero knowledge proof solution. So that obviously is a standout capability for us. We talk about purchase time, and that is the ability to purchase assets and see that change reflected in near real time. Security is obviously one of the most important facets or aspects of the Ethereum network itself. The security that comes along with being in the Ethereum ecosystem is something that users want. Many products don't offer that same security as a result of the technology approach that they take, whether we're using a side chain or a proprietary chain. Those solutions will tend to offer a lower grade of security than what is on offer or available to users who are in the Ethereum ecosystem. And because Immutable X is built on the Ethereum ecosystem, that same security is available to all users who are using Immutable X. The Ethereum network. The Ethereum network and the network effects that come along with being in that space is a huge competitive advantage for us. Really, we see Ethereum rather as the winning network in the space. For developers who want to build either in-game experiences or any other niche experiences, any developers that would like to build into their applications, the network effects that come as a result of being in the Ethereum ecosystem are really important to us. I spoke about the developer experience. It is core and crucial for us. We want an absolutely seamless and frictionless developer experience. We want to ensure that our APIs are a joy to use. It's frictionless, and you can just get up and running really quickly and really easily to test out whatever it is that you want to build. And last but not least, the carbon footprint. This is something which has been spoken about at length in the blogosphere and beyond. The carbon footprint of blockchain solutions is something which is well known. There are some really interesting stats that show that the Bitcoin network, for example, now is using more electricity globally than I think New Zealand at this point. And that's obviously a challenge for all blockchain products. Immutable X is carbon neutral, and how we achieve that is by purchasing carbon offsets. For all of the energy that's used in Immutable X or by Immutable X, we're purchasing the equivalent carbon offsets in order to cover the carbon production that is a result of that usage. And next slide, is that it? Yep. So like I mentioned, if anyone had any questions, I see there's a chat icon has just jumped up. Okay, it's just a reminder to put questions in the chat. But if any questions do pop up either now or through the rest of the presentation, just jump right on in. And thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for that, Kev. I will add that we will be taking questions in the sponsor Immutable Discord in the ETHGlobal Discord. So if you have any questions that come to mind later, or if you're watching on the stream, feel free to pop them in there and we will get back to you. So I did want to show you one of the examples of how Immutable X NFTs are used in game. And that is in Gods Unchained. So in Gods Unchained, you're able to use 2 Immutable X NFTs, use the in-game currency Flux, and then forge them into an additional a separate NFT, which is then immediately minted into your Immutable X wallet. This is just one of the many ways that Immutable X NFTs are really kind of transforming the gamer experience. But I think it is a really good example. We've put a few more examples of that into the Discord that you can check out as well. But I did want to highlight that one because it's definitely a favorite of players. So now for the exciting part, getting into the hackathon. What we want people to do for this hackathon is very much aligned with our mission at Immutable X, and as the title of the presentation suggests, which is building the future of games with Immutable X. So we want you to have a go at it, and we would like participants to build and present a proof of concept and or a prototype for an incredible game integration, showcasing Immutable X NFTs. So we'll go through a few examples of what that may look like in the next slide. But what we're looking for and what we will be awarding prizes to is projects that are really innovative, that potentially shows us something that we haven't seen before, that demonstrate a really strong implementation of the Immutable X APIs, and most importantly, representing a novel, exciting, and valuable proposition for players. So these are a few thought starters, some ideas of what you can do. You could build a game around an existing NFT collection. You can go into the Immutable X marketplace and see the hundreds of NFT collections that exist there already, and you can build a game around those NFTs that already exist. You could create a proof of concept for a unique game onboarding experience. So my favorite example of this is Planet Quest. If you haven't signed up to Planet Quest already, I highly suggest that you do. Their onboarding is super smooth, super slick, integrated into Immutable X, and you mint a free NFT just by signing up, which is really cool. You could create a proof of concept for a new game, integrating new IMX NFTs, or you could integrate new Immutable X NFTs into an existing game. So on to the prizes, we are very excited to be offering $16,000 US in IMX tokens as a prize pool for this hackathon. The prize pool is broken down into first prize being $10,000, second prize being $4,000, and third prize being $2,000. The other benefit of being a prize winner for the Immutable X hackathon is you'll have access to an hour-long strategy session with another senior customer success manager, Chelsea, and her full-time focus is integrating games into Immutable X. So you'll be able to strategize with her and figure out the best way to make your project come to life, and you'll have an integrations engineer on that call as well. So finally, in terms of getting support, as I mentioned, we've listed a whole bunch of resources in the Discord. There will be myself, Kev, and some of the integrations engineers checking in the Discord to give you a hand if you have any questions that arise over the next couple of weeks. And I'd also suggest that you check out the Immutable X developer Discord. There's a link to that as well. There's a really good community of devs there that have built on Immutable X and help each other out and answer questions and problem solve together. So I highly suggest that you jump in there. As other starting points, we've got the docs. There's a link there, the Immutable X Medium. So in the Medium, our CTO Alex does deep dives into various parts of the Immutable X protocol. So why we chose a zero knowledge rollup as our scaling solution, how the order book works, how the architecture works, how we managed to be carbon free rather, and it gives you like a really good sense of the project in a lot of detail. And then finally, there are a number of GitHub links with contract examples, etc., that we've linked in the Discord channel. So that is all from me. I'm wondering, Kev, do we have any questions that have popped up?
No, we do not, Millie. No questions at this point. Now would be a good time if you do have any questions.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we've managed to finish the preso 5 minutes early. So we will end it there. Thank you everyone for joining us. Can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Kevin, Amelia.